Ever wonder if AI will ever be able to tackle those mind-bending machine learning challenges you hear about?
Hmm.
The kind that have even seasoned data scientists reaching for another cup of coffee.
Like trying to decipher ancient scrolls.
Yeah. Or how about predict those intricate folds of protein structures?
Or maybe even just figuring out if a tweet is sarcastic.
Exactly. And it turns out researchers at OpenAI have been asking themselves the same thing, and they've actually put together this fascinating benchmark study to test how far AI has come in cracking these real-world problems.
They call it MLE-bench.
MLE-bench, okay.
Yeah, and basically they pitted AI agents against 75 different machine learning challenges, all taken from actual Kaggle competitions.
Oh, wow.
So think of it like a digital decathlon, but for AI, pushing them to their limits across a whole bunch of different tasks.
Yeah. A digital decathlon, I like that.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, these AI agents, they weren't given any, special treatment or anything.
Yeah, no special treatment.
Uh-huh.
They played by the same rules as any human competitor would. Same data, same time limit. No Googling for shortcuts.
No cheating.
Exactly. They were given 24 hours to work with the data they had and then had to come up with a solution.
Okay, so walk us through the AI's arsenal here. What tools do they have in their toolkit to tackle these challenges?
Well, the heavy hitters were powerful language models.
Okay.
Things like OpenAI's O1 preview.
Yeah.
This basically acts as the AI's brain.
Okay.
But I think the real game changer here, and this is really interesting, is the use of scaffolding.
Scaffolding.
Okay.
Okay, now I got to ask, what does that even mean in the context of AI problem solving?
So it's all about providing the AI with a structured way to approach the task at hand. So imagine you're giving the AI specialized programs, and these act like intelligent assistants, helping them to manage their time,
Okay.
organize their work, even just choose the right tools for the job.
So kind of like giving them a supercharged project management system to keep them on track.
Exactly. And one program in particular called AID, which stands for AI Development Environment, proved to be incredibly effective.
Hmm.
And what AID does is it helps AI agents break down these complex problems into smaller, more manageable steps.
Got it.
And that seems to be a key factor in their success.
So with their language models and their trusty aid by their side, how did they actually perform? Did they breeze through these competitions, or was it a little bit more?
It's actually more nuanced than that.
Okay.
While they were able to achieve some pretty impressive results in some areas, there were also some surprising stumbles along the way.
Stumbles, you say. That's intriguing. So even with these advanced language models and this sophisticated scaffolding, and it sounds like AI still has some learning to do. What were some of the areas where these AI agents, really found themselves hitting a wall?
So one of the things that really stood out was their difficulty with debugging. Let's say their code throws an error, right? Which happens all the time when you're programming.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of, systematically tracing back to try to find the source of that error, the AI agents would often just get stuck in a loop, retrying the same approach over and over again without any success.
So they haven't quite grasped the fine art of strategically Googling an error message when all else fails.
Not quite. And this really highlights, I think, a really fundamental difference between how humans and AI, at least right now, approach problem solving.
Okay.
Right. We rely on intuition, our past experiences, sometimes even, a little bit of frustration to kind of guide that debugging process.
Right.
Whereas AI seems to be more bound by the specific instructions that it's given.
Yeah.
It seems to be lacking that flexible, adaptable thinking that often leads us to a solution.
It's like they haven't developed that internal voice. It's like, okay, this isn't working. Let's try something else.
Exactly. And this lack of adaptability, it also kind of showed up in another area, which was explaining their thought processes.
Okay.
So while these AI agents were able to produce solutions, their ability to actually document their reasoning, like the steps they took to arrive at those solutions, was really limited.
So it's like they aced the test, but they left the show your work section completely blank.
Exactly. And that lack of transparency, I think, is a really significant hurdle. Imagine trying to understand why an AI made a particular decision, especially in those high-stakes scenarios, right?
Right.
Without having a clear window into its reasoning, it makes it really challenging to assess its reliability, identify any potential biases, or even just learn from its successes.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. We can't just have AI spitting out answers without understanding the why behind them.
Right, exactly. Transparency is just crucial,
Yeah.
not only for building trust in AI's capabilities, but also for really harnessing its potential for collaboration.
Okay.
If we can understand how AI arrives at a solution, we can potentially glean new insights ourselves, uncover novel approaches,
Yeah.
and push the boundaries of human knowledge even further.
So it's kind of like having a brilliant but somewhat enigmatic partner in a research lab.
Right.
Like their work is impressive, don't get me wrong, but without that clear communication, it's really difficult to fully unlock the potential of that collaboration.
For sure.
But let's shift gears for a second and go back to those Kaggle competitions.
Sure.
What were some of the areas where these AI agents, they really excelled?
So they really shone, I would say, in challenges that had well-defined solutions.
Okay.
So tasks where there are established methodologies, certain techniques are readily available.
Got it.
These were situations where AI could really leverage its immense computational power to analyze these massive data sets and identify patterns that, quite honestly, might even elude, even the most seasoned human expert.
So they were particularly adept at the problems that had a really clear roadmap to the solution.
Exactly, exactly. It's like, they were given a really detailed recipe and all the ingredients, and they were able to just follow it to a T, producing these remarkable results with just incredible speed and accuracy.
Right. But when it came to those more, open-ended problems, the ones that required a bit of creative problem solving or those intuitive leaps, that's where they encountered some roadblocks.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. It seems like while AI has made these really impressive strides in mimicking certain aspects of human intelligence, that kind of elusive spark of creativity, that ability to think outside the box, forge these new paths, that remains a significant frontier in AI research.
And this brings us to, I think, a really crucial question.
Yeah,
What do these findings actually tell us about the future of AI,
right.
especially its potential role in real-world applications? So it seems like we're kind of this really interesting crossroads where, AI is becoming this incredibly powerful tool in all these different fields, right?
Right.
Like medicine, material science, pretty much name it.
But we're also seeing that it's still got these hurdles to overcome, like you were saying, the intuitive problem solving, explaining its work clearly. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we get it to that point where it's really reaching its full potential?
Well, that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I think, it's not just about making AI smarter or faster even.
Right.
It's about, how do we develop AI that can actually integrate seamlessly with the way humans work already? AI that can really augment our capabilities, not just, automate things away.
Yeah, we don't want AI just like generating these solutions in a vacuum. We want to be able to understand the how, the why, so we can learn from it, build upon it, and just make sure that ultimately these solutions are actually beneficial in the long run.
Absolutely. Imagine a world where, AI isn't stuck in a lab just analyzing data. It's actually out there collaborating with scientists, in the field.
Yeah.
So picture for a second, AI algorithms sifting through astronomical observations, maybe flagging unusual patterns that astronomers should then go investigate. Okay.
Potentially, I mean, who knows? It could lead to the discovery of new celestial phenomena we just don't know yet.
Right. Or AI working alongside medical researchers,
Yeah.
and they're analyzing, this complex genetic data, maybe to identify potential targets for these personalized therapies. I mean, the possibilities they're huge.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes this such an exciting field to be working in right now.
Yeah.
But I think as with any powerful technology, we have to proceed thoughtfully.
Of course, yeah.
It's not about just handing over the reins to AI. It's about, we have to develop these frameworks, right?
Yeah.
For responsible AI development. We have to ensure that things like transparency, fairness, accountability, that's built into these systems from the ground up.
It's about making sure that AI is serving humanity, not the other way around.
100%.
Yeah.
And that requires, I think, a real collaborative effort here. It's not just up to the computer scientists or the engineers. It's a conversation that has to involve ethicists, policymakers, and ultimately, everyone in society.
Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about, AI's report card in some digital decathlon.
Right.
It's really about shaping the future that we want to see.
Mm.
A future where, Human ingenuity and artificial intelligence, they work together to solve these really complex challenges that we're all facing in the world today.
Well said. And that actually leads perfectly into a final thought, I think, for our listeners to consider.
Okay.
We've spent this whole time, talking about how AI stacks up against us, human experts in these machine learning competitions.
Right.
But what happens when AI starts setting the challenge? What happens when AI is no longer the student, but it becomes the teacher, pushing those boundaries of what's even possible in ways that we can only begin to imagine right now?
That's definitely something to think about. Well, on that note, this has been a fascinating deep dive into the world of MLE-bench and AI's growing capabilities. As always, thanks to our expert for joining us and sharing their insights.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, keep those questions coming and keep exploring the ever-evolving world of AI. We'll catch you in the next deep dive.